Today is Anti-Meta Monday. This is VGC Masterclass Part 6, where I teach you how to play creative VGC correctly. Today we're going to find out how to find the right anti-meta Pokemon for any situation, right? That's what we're working on today. I just want to say, Diego just gifted us up. Thank you so much, my friend. Hopefully you're enjoying the course. I've been working really hard to make consistent daily VGC content all throughout July. We have every single day. On the weekdays is going to be a new VGC Masterclass episode, and this is Anti-Meta Monday, my favorite day of the week. So, in this little graphic here, I show an example of a team that we, a good team, right? Like fast AoE Shadow Rider, like bulky, like special attacker Miraidon, like a mon that has synergy with both of those, like fake out attacker, prankster mon, Wims. This is very standard. And what we turned the core into, we took the role that Shadow Rider was filling of being a fast AoE mon and turned it into a Scarf Ogre, which those are filling the same role. Fast, Scarf, AoE, Spout, GG's. We took the Electric Dragon, bulky, special attacker, Miraidon and turned it into an AV special Zekrom. Again, we probably still could have used Miraidon, but we're trying to find anti-meta ways to make these things work, and having access to that Terravolt ability on Zekrom lets us pop things like sturdy Ogre Pawns that, Kyogre would normally have struggled very hard with. We took the Sneasler that would be on this team that would normally have like an Electric Seed to be able to pair with the Miraidon, and instead gave ourselves a Monkey Dory, a special attacker that still gets a very fast fake out and now gets access to like Frisk while still having those same fighting attacks. So you see how it's still doing a lot of the same things that Sneasler does. Fast fake out with fighting coverage. But now we are adding other tools, right? Whimsicott, Eomese, same thing, but now we have like a weather core here that we didn't have before, in addition to like fake tiers and stuff like that to be able to better supplement our Kyogre and Zekrom. And the last two mons were like Grass Patch Fireplace. If you guys want to see a review of this team, I think I did that here, where I used this team like on the ladder. It was a lot of fun. It was fun, like Monkey Dory, Skeletor's very surprising. So I had a lot of fun with this team, and what we're going to be doing today, again, is talking about how you guys can like find the connections to understand what sort of anti-meta roles and mons you can play. I really do feel that you should be picking roles for teams, and then from there going on the list of Pokemon that fill that role to kind of come up with a bunch of different anti-meta techs. I will also say we're going to be using a bunch of Pokemon here that are relatively anti-meta too. We have Scizor, Gengar, Tornadus. We're going to be playing a bunch of games with this team after we go over today's article. All these Pokemon are picked by our members on Patreon in every single week's team submission post, where people can post what they want to see for the week. This week people wanted to see things like Gengar, sorry, it's right here, Gengar, Heracross, Cerulege, Torterra, Golurk, Electivire, Empoleon, Scizor, and Enamorus. So I picked a bunch of mons from that list. I picked Gengar, I picked Scizor, Scizor, and Electivire. And I tried to fit in Empoleon on this team, and it just couldn't really work. I think I might do another stream a little bit later on this week where I use a couple more of these, but I think fitting at least 3 of these Pokemon onto a team is really hard. People can also suggest, teams they want to see fixed, stuff they want to see covered in Wi-Fi Wednesday, Team Preview Thursday, and then suggest the Pokemon for NFE Friday. And this is this whole course called VGC Masterclass. Think about checking out on Patreon. Even the lowest tier, the $2 tier, gets access to all of this content, and you guys can spin it in whatever direction you really want and suggest the Pokemon that you want to see. So getting back to today's article, because every single video does get an article here, let's start reading it and go down. So it says how to find the right anti-meta Pokemon for any situation. A useful team building tactic for building an anti-meta team is to take an already established meta core and substitute some of the meta Pokemon in it with anti-meta choices that technically fill the same role. A good example of this is the difference between Grimmsnarl, Sableye, and Klefki. Technically, all 3 of them are Light Clay dual screen users that can apply secondary speed control, but all 3 have slightly different kits to suit different situations, right? I think these are a really good example of like different ways to put like an anti-meta spin on like any team. We were talking about filling roles. So the roles that those would have filled, again, like the fast AoE, the Electric Dragon, the fast fake out, this would be the dual screen user, right? Having access to like Reflect, Light Screen while holding a Light Clay to make those screens effectively 8 turns each. Those are all 3 of them. We're in all those moves and currently run those kits. So let's talk about the differences between them. right? So Grimmsnarl is the most aggressive and can deal massive damage with Stab, Foul Play, and Spirit Break. Really, really good. Grimmsnarl's, I think, like a 135 base attack. It hits really hard with those Spirit Breaks that it stabs and can lower stats even further, or you can just like dump truck things like Kali with a massive Stab, Foul Play. Sableye gets access to niche status moves like Encore, Disable, Quash, and Will-O-Wisp. These are moves that both Grimmsnarl and Klefki do not get, so Sableye is a little bit more techy than those other ones. And then Klefki gets access to moves like Trick Room and is the lone special attacker of the three. So if you don't want to be cycled by Intimidate, and if you want to have like a little bit more coverage, you might go with something like Klefki, like a Dazzling Gleam, or like a Flash Cannon or something. Klefki's a lot better, defensively into things like Kali in a lot of situations as well. All three of these mons are actually really, really good, and it really does depend on your team building to, kind of pick which one you want to use for whatever situation. I'm sure a lot of people will probably just usually click Grimmsnarl because it gets like a bunch of the same stuff. All these guys also get like Thunderwave and other forms of secondary speed control as well. And while most people will pick Grimmsnarl, there are a lot of little situations where Sableye and Klefki can be that extra little bit of spice that your teams need to succeed. And knowing that it's that extra little bit of spice is actually really important. So while all three technically perform the same role, the way they do it differs slightly from Pokemon to Pokemon. Once we know some similar Pokemon that are trying to fill whatever role our team needs, we can start looking into what other tools those similar Pokemon bring to our team that the meta Pokemon we had in the beginning didn't. Let's use the same three Pokemon as an example again and take a look at the small differences each Pokemon's defensive typing can add to a team, right? Defensive typing is actually really, really important, and I think even more than like base stats, it's their defensive typing that actually really separates these three in between like what makes them really good and what makes some better or worse on other teams. So Grimmsnarl, it's going to be a Dark Fairy type. So like it protects it from opposing prankster Pokemon, it has a dragon immunity, and it has a steel/poison weakness. We're going to be really noting those weaknesses because they are going to be really important a little bit later. Sableye is a Ghost Dark, so it's protected from Fake Out and Prankster. So even more than Grimmsnarl, one way to check Grimmsnarl is always to like fake out the Grimmsnarl and dump you into it with something that's like super effective before they can get their screen up. You can't do that to Sableye because you can't fake out it, which means Sableye is always going to be able to get its screens up, always going to be able to do whatever it really wants to do. And it's protected from like dark type pranksters because it's also a dark type, right? So in some situations, if there's a hole in your team or you're getting doubled up on your Grimm, Sableye could be a better anti-meta alternative. Klefki being the last one, it's a Steel Fairy, and then see how it's immune to both Dragon and Poison. So like the things, if you're like Grimm's getting doubled up on by a bunch of poison attacks, if you're really getting bullied by like Sneaslers and other stuff like that, Klefki might be the one for you in that situation. It also has a Fairy Resistance, which is very rare for Prankster users to have a Fairy Resistance. If we think of Prankster users, we think of, Grimmsnarl, Sableye, those have a weakness. We think of Tornadus and Whimsicott, which it's neutral into, but having a resistance on Fairy for a Prankster user is very hard. And Murkrow is another Prankster user that has a Fairy weakness, right? So very, very rare. Klefki's the uncommon oddman out here. Again, it's still susceptible to those fake outs like the Grimmsnarl is, but it trades a lot of those other defensive typings. You can also taunt Klefki, where you can't taunt Grimmsnarl and Sableye. So you're trading a bunch of that defensive typing for like, more, resistances being steel and stuff like that. I think Klefki is a lot better than people give it credit for. You're gonna start to see a pattern where like Klefki's gonna start to emerge as like a pretty, good niche alternative. So while Grimmsnarl will be more often than not the pick people choose, you might want to look into using some other choices if their strengths can fill a hole that your team needs. I think it's like really important to not just autopilot, small brain play, just pick the Grimmsnarl. I think that you really want to take a look at like, what is the exact role that I need to fill from this, screens user? I want my dual screens. Do I want Thunderwave? Do I want Trick Room? Do I want, Dazzling Gleam, Flash Cannon, any sort of weird AoE? Do I want Fake Out on this mon? There's so many different things that each of these mons can add, and it's really, really important. So I've included a list of Pokemon here as examples and some off-meta picks that technically fill the same role. Every Pokemon can be replaced with some sort of bargain bin off-meta version, but there are a few, but here are a few just to give you some ideas. I think this is a really, really important, thing to talk about when team building. A lot of the times when you see someone take like a brand new team and put like a completely different spin on the meta, all they're really doing is changing like one or two mons to the team into like something else that still technically does the same job, but also lets you cover like another bad matchup at the same time. I want you guys to take a look again back up here at like the Sneasler being substituted for a Monkey Dory. They fill technically the same role, a fast fake out poison mon. So you have that poison coverage, you have that fast fake out, but then like Sneasler right, has that big psychic weakness. Monkey Dory doesn't have like the psychic weakness, and then we still have fighting coverage because we're like Focus Blast with Fighting Terra and stuff like that, right? So I think that like, and also the thing that Monkey Dory provides as like a secondary effect is like Frisk for open sheet. It provides like special attackers. So like Monkey Dory could be like really, really a little bit more usable into like a Zamazenta, right? And this is something that you wouldn't know unless you like really took the time to go like find it and really find like the perfect little mon for that situation. So yeah, bargain bin. You want to look at like all the mons that were in those moves and talk about what different bargain bin versions they are, right? So here's some of the ones that I wrote down. So like Ilumise is just a Whimsicott with Rain Dance. They're very similar. They are in the same egg group. They get a lot of the same moves. They get Encore, they get Tailwind, they get all the different forms of speed control. But like Whimsicott doesn't get Rain Dance, it gets Sunny Day. So if you were looking for like a Whimsicott and you want that big Encore, you know, prankster user, you could just use an Ilumise in that situation. Murkrow is basically a Dark Tornadus. I've used the team with Murkrow, Shadow Rider, Zenta. I made that like the first week Reg I was announced, and then like Tornadus, Shadow Rider, Zenta ended up winning a couple VRs and now is like the second best or best team in the meta. And like the value of a Murkrow there is it gets Sucker Punch to help you like soft pin Shadow Riders, but also being immune to taunt and letting you still have your prankster Tailwind of yourself. So like Murkrow's a very, very usable mon. Talonflame is a Tornadus that checks Whims. Normally, if you have Tornadus and your opponent has Whimsicott, they can actually taunt you turn 1. Or like, if you trade Tailwinds, then they can Encore you because Whimsicott has a faster base speed than Tornadus. Well, Talonflame has a faster base speed than Whimsicott. So if they're using a Covert Cloak Whimsicott, and you know they are because it's open sheet, you can just Brave Bird them or Dual Wing Beat or Acrobatics them on the first turn and just say, you're done, right? So Talonflame is like a more aggressive Tornadus specifically into Whimsicott. So if you're having a problem with Whimsicott and you're using Tornadus, Talonflame might be the anti-meta mon for you. Terrakion is a faster Urshifu. This one can be a little bit weird, but like as someone who has used a lot of Whimsicott Terrakion over the years, and more so just Terrakion in general, they both are the big, bulky bruiser fighting types. They have a good inherent like bulk to them, at least on their defensive side, good HP bulk. They've used a lot of fighting attacks. Yes, Urshifu comes with like Surging Strikes and all those other things like that, but Terrakion gets like Rock Coverage, AoE, they both get Taunt, they both get a lot of the same kit, but then Urshifu's actually like a lot slower than Terrakion is. So a lot of the things that could like check an Urshifu in previous formats, or even in any format, like maybe a Volcarona doesn't check Terrakion. Like, we have super effective moves into it, we're faster, we have the ability to do a bunch of other things while still retaining the same, we still check the same things, right? If your opponent's using a Terrapagos, or maybe like a Blissey, Urshifu's gonna check it, Terrakion's gonna check it. You still just check those mons, right? But at the same time, you also check other things by using these things. I think that's the thing I really want you guys to drive home, is these mons still check the same things as this one. You're still getting up Tailwind just like a Tornadus would, but you're adding a better, safer way to do it in some other very niche situations. You're finding other niche situations in which you do the exact same thing, but this one might also help you alleviate pressure in another part of your team. I think it's very, very important. Annihilate is just the Ghost Urshifu, right? A lot of people are using Scarf Ursh. Annihilate's like the same thing, but you know, a lot of people run Annihilate Jolly, so it can actually final gambit opposing Scarf Urshes before they can pin your teammate. That's actually really, really popular. I think 2 Annihilates were in like the top 16 of the big Smogon tournament that happened. I think one of them ended up winning. Scarf Ape's super good because it just takes away your opponent's ability to leverage advantage with their Scarf Ursh, because no Scarf Urshes go Jolly anymore because they can't get the KOs. Mewtwo is a bad Cresselia, JK. I wish literally even one of you guys told me this before NAIC. We didn't realize this till we were like at NAIC. I was there playing like Life Do Mewtwo, and I'm like, this is a bad Cresselia. Like, why am I playing this? Like, you know, I was playing Psych Up Life Do Mewtwo. That's a bad Cresselia, but it is. It just is, right? Jump Up is a faster Smeargle with flying typing. This one where it gets a little bit weird. What does Smeargle usually carry? It carries Fake Out, yeah, but it carries like Follow Me, Spore, stuff like that. Jump Bluff carries, you know, Rage Powder, Sleep Powder. It's a little bit different, but you're a lot faster and you have like a good ability to pull from as well. That's why previously in like older restricted formats, Jump Bluff's always been a great Pokemon to pair next to like Groudon. It's a little bit more aggressive as like a turn 1 like redirection Spore user. Not many mons get the ability to redirect and put things to sleep. Jump Bluff and Smeargle are one of the few that do. In an aggressive way. Obviously, like you have things like a Mungus, but those aren't fast, right? It's hard to, like, Lilligant doesn't get that sort of tech. It gets the Sleep Powder, it doesn't get the Rage Powder, right? Sinistcha is a Ghost Amoonguss with TR. What does Sinistcha do? It comes in, mitigates damage, maybe heals its opponents a little bit. It gets Rage Powder. That's what an Amoonguss does. It comes in, alleviates pressure, puts things to sleep. Amoonguss or Sinistcha can't put things to sleep, but like it heals its teammates with Pollen Puff. It doesn't set TR, right? So if you're using a lot of these things, right, there are other ways to accomplish those same things. Like if the thing you wanted out of an Amoonguss was the ability to mitigate damage, redirect, and heal your teammates, you might just be looking for a Sinistcha. That might be the better alternative for your team than an Amoonguss, and while also giving you access to a TR, right? And a bunch of other tech moves. Sinistcha gets a bunch of cool stuff. Weavile is just a Shenpao with Fake Out. This is objectively true. Like, Weavile got by Shenpao. I think one of the only things that Weavile gets that Shenpao doesn't is, like, Upper Hand and Feint. Or what is it, Triple Axle? But, like, you would always use a Shenpao, right? Sinistcha really doesn't get Sleep Powder? Oh, heck no. I'd be using the heck out of that. I'd be all over that. AV Raging Bolt is just a special attacker King Gambit. You can try and change my mind on this, but that's what I think. They're both commonly built AV, and Bolt, they get Sucker Punch and Thunderbolt. It's the same thing. They're the same thing. Good defensive typing mons that are bulky bruisers that both get a priority. Like, those are the same mon. Flamigo is just a Mind Shell with Scrappy instead of Fake Out. Again, it is, right? What is Flamigo's set? Like, it gets Wide Guard, Close Combat, maybe like a Flying Move or Knockoff, Feint. That's a Mind Shell, right? I think it's so funny. Everyone's like, people were talking about Flamigo last week when I typed this article. That's a Mind Shell, bro. Like, bro just discovered Mind Shell. Everyone's out here, like, discovering Mind Shell for the first time. Scrappy's a great ability. But do you guys see what I mean? If the thing that you liked about Flamigo, is the Scrappy, like, lean into that. But, like, if you really just like the fact that it was, like, close combat, good single target damage, could use knockoff, wide guard while supporting your teammates with Feint, like, Mind Shell might be the better alternative because it is faster, right? Breloom is just a more aggressive Brute Bonnet. That's fair, right? You get a stab on your fighting moves. You both get that relatively fast Spore. You're not super slow, but Breloom gets access to, like, Mach Punch and other things like that. Loaded dice sets are good. It doesn't get the Rage Powder, but, like, you see how you can just bully a little bit more with Breloom, right? What do you guys think? Are you guys with me on these examples so far? I'd like to think that these are some pretty common ones. Obviously, there's a bunch of other ones that we can come up with, which we will actually be coming up with ones a little bit later on in this stream, but you guys are with me here, right? Every Pokemon can have, like, a bargain bin discount version, right? I'm trying to get Mind Shell on my team. Seems nice. I hunted it for Worlds, and it's a really cool mon. I love Mind Shell. All right. So below, I've included an example of a recent anti-meta team I came up with the other day and what Pokemon were the base inspiration for the team. To start, I was building around the core of Shadow Rider, Miraidon, Sneasel, Whimsicott. Normally the last two slots in the team like that would be something like Volcarona or Fire Ogerpon or maybe even a Frigoraph, but I wanted to feature Pledge, so I slapped a 2-mon Pledge core on at the end. And we already kind of talked about this. We're building for roles, fast AoE, Electric Dragon, fast Fake Out, Prankster Tailwind. We already kind of went over this, and I use this team on YouTube. If you want to see this team in action on YouTube, it is up right now. I want you to look at the roles each mom plays when I was building. Shadow Rider, fast AoE turned into Scarf Kyogre. Miraidon, Electric Dragon turned into AV Zekrom. Sneasel, fast Fake Out turned into Monkey Dory. And Whimsicott, which is Prankster Tailwind, turned into Ilumise. Now, it's obvious that all of the mons I changed into made the team noticeably weaker, but in doing so, it gave us a few strengths we didn't have before, and this is where the anti-meta tech starts to come in. So we now have a weather option to lean into with Kyogre and Ilumise that we didn't have before. We have Frisk on Monkey Dory to help us avoid cheese or gimmick teams. And we have the ability to become infinitely more unpredictable with Zekrom and Ilumise. Now, because we've taken the time to, like, find these other mons that still technically do what we need them to do to play standard, we've given ourselves so many more different RNG outlets where your opponent doesn't know the calcs, they don't know the matchups, they don't know the moves, to where we are now in the driver's seat. We made our team weaker, but we forced them to react to what we're doing, which I think is really, really important. You know, how goes it? These are just a few of the small advantages you can find when substituting in different anti-meta Pokemon to your teams. You still get the base job done that the standard meta picks were filling, but you also get new bonuses that you didn't have before. Think of it like having your cake and eating it too. That's good. Scroll up a little bit. It's great when it works and lets you really lean into some aggro playstyles you might not have been able to capitalize on when playing a standard meta team. I think that's a really, really important thing. We're going to take a look at today's team. Normally, you would not want to use, like, a Gengar here or like a Scizor, But because we can kind of lean into and like win games in like 2 turns because your opponent doesn't really know what we're going to have. And if they try to react, if we're using Feint on 2 of our Mons and they're trying to react with like wide guards against this team, they're going to get blown the heck up. And that's what we're trying to capitalize on. So that being said, this isn't always a good idea. Substituting standard meta picks for anti-meta ones can leave you really exposed and open to losing games early if you don't build the rest of your team correctly. You still need to add the right defensive tools to get your opponents to respect your team, otherwise they're just going to roll you over. If you want a more in-depth look at how you can check those, you can look at like last week's article where I break down the idea. Yeah, so we've been making a bunch of different articles. If you guys wanted to check it out, it's going to be right here. This article right here, it's linked in the Patreon article, goes to like a couple tools you might want to add to every single team to help you flesh out those bad matchups. And then this one also really helps. Both these really help at understanding how to not get rolled early when playing anti-meta teams. So studying these off-meta Mons also prevents you from being got by the surprise factor. That's an article for a couple days from now. So at this point, I'm going to answer any questions about some anti-meta Pokemon alternatives. Could be for any Pokemon. Let me know what roles/Pokemon you want anti-meta options for, and I'll do my best to give some ideas, right? So let me know. Name some Pokemon. Talk about it amongst yourselves in chat, and I will let you know some anti-meta alternatives for that Pokemon that still technically fill the same role. Metagross for Zama. Metagross would be a more appropriate alternative to Solgaleo. Because like Metagross is still a Steel Psychic. It doesn't get the Wide Guard, it doesn't get the TR, the Sunsteel Strike, but it still has that full model body versus clear body. They have very similar attack stats. So I would say Metagross and Solgaleo are more similar than Zama. If you're looking for a substitution for Zama, that would probably be something like a Cobalion, because it still gets the same fighting steel typing with like the Iron Defense body press, right? So yeah, if there are any Mons that you want like, bargain bin discounts for, I can run this down any Mon. 2 seconds. I can give you like 3 to 4 alternatives for every single Mon. Torkoal. IDK if he counts as a meta TR sweeper. Alright, so as substitution for something like Torkoal, that is a little bit harder. In previous formats, you might have been able to lean into something more like an Octillery. But I'm trying to think of like good AoE slow Mons for Torkoal. That you could always use Camerupt there. Camerupt would be a good one. Always made to feel like Incineroar has to be on a team. Is the bargain bin equivalent maybe another bulky Intimidator? So Hitmontop used to be what we used before Incineroar. Hitmontop and Scrafty, those are good Mons that technically fill the same role as Incineroar. They just don't get the pivot. It really depends on what you want out of the Incineroar. Do you want the Intimidate or do you want the Fake Out? Because if you want the Fake Out, you can go Scrafty. And if you want the Intimidate, you can go Hitmontop. And if you want the Parting Shot, that's where you would lean. If you want the Fake Out Parting Shot, that's where you just use Orilla instead, right? So instead of like, there is no 100% Incineroar unless you wanted to use like its unevolved form, like an EVA, like a Torracat. But at the same time, like you could go Scrafty, Hitmontop, Rillaboom. Those are all, acceptable choices. Houndoom is an anti-Chi-Yu, but with Sucker Punch and Terra Ghost can be a win con. It gets Destiny Bond. It gets Nasty Plot. Houndoom's great. I've used it in draft a few times. What does Camerupt provide that Torkoal doesn't? It's a ground type. And Camerupt is actually built better as like a physical attacker, but like it stabs ground moves, so it actually is technically better against other Torkoals because like you can soak in their fire attack with your fire typing and then just earth power them into like a million pieces. Is there a Mon that can't be replaced with a bargain bin Mon? It gets harder when you're trying to replace restricteds, right? It gets harder when you're trying to place restricteds. There's not really an equivalent in this meta for like Zacian, right? But that's completely fair. It's harder when you're trying to replace megas. There's no replacement for a Mega Kang, right? But those aren't in this format, right? So I think that most Mons have like some sort of other Mon who can turn into that role. Maybe it's hard to make Smeargle. It's hard to substitute out in something for Smeargle, but Jumpluff does like a good enough alternative, I would say. Landorus T is decent and isn't so meta anymore for Incin. Landorus T, yeah, but it's not really, if you like the Intimidate and pivoting, Lando is a good alternative. But I wouldn't say they're on the same role. What role can Gengar fill? Was trying to build with it yesterday, but really couldn't make it work. Gengar is a really unique Mon where it does a little bit of everything, right? So Gengar is like an antiquated piece of like forgotten metas to where it gets all the good aggressive tech options like Taunt, Encore, Icy Wind, all those things with like massive aggressive typing. But it has like that 4 moveslot syndrome where there's only so much you can really do. You can't fit all that tech onto one Pokemon. So Gengar's a good mon. Gengar's best thing is like really fast games and that force traits. So like we're going to be using Gengar in this game. Basically, I'm not going to call it like a suicide lead, but that's how we're going to be playing Gengar in this one. We're going to be trying to trade with it early, apply the right status moves to things, because it does get like all the good status moves, and then from there coming out with something that closes, right? I think I'm going to submit a team for fixing next week. Yeah, go for it. I'm always accepting stuff for fixing. We got all the fixings to do. Volcarona Milotic Decidueye, but I'm feeling a little bit stuck. What do you feel? When do you feel like your team isn't going to work? That team, I'm going to tell you right now, that team is probably not great. There are a lot of holes already. I would really suggest picking a restricted to start with in a restricted format, because right now what you're doing is you're trying to facilitate and add tools to help non-restricteds, right? No amount of like help is going to make Decidueye good. You like, there's no supporting cast that's going to make Decidueye busted. I just got done making a team with Decidueye. Note that when I did that, I put Decidueye on at the end because Decidueye was a good complement to the rest of the team that I built. It doesn't work the other way around. You don't make your restricteds bend the knee to your support mons. You want to make your support mons enable your restricteds, and in doing so, when you do that, if you add the right support mons that enable your restricteds, that will let your restricteds and the threat that they give off, the fact that we're using Shadow Rider, the fact that we're using Kyogre, those are going to be drawing in your opponent's sucker punches, drawing in the threat from the opponents, which is going to let your things like Scizor and Gengar basically have like a built-in like redirection away from your non-threatening mons. Right? Does that make sense? It's going to pull threat away from your off-meta weird stuff, because your main restricteds have so much more board presence, which means when you use those protects, when you go for those safe switches, you're going to be able to leverage that advantage on your opponent a little bit more often. So like in this team, for example, I'll just talk about this. So I saw these mons get submitted, right? And I thought to myself, okay, I need to feature Gengar, because that was a highly requested one from the week before. And I'm like, okay, what has synergy with Gengar? And what I thought initially was whatever restricteds I'll do will either have to A, resist poison, or B, be able to go poison Terra and have that be a good Terra on them, right? So what I did when I built this team was I took Gengar and I took in Scizor right off the rip, because I was like, I'm going to be building a Gengar, right, that has access to Sludge Wave. And so I compared that Gengar with Sludge Wave next to my Scizor to be able to use the Sludge Wave, not hit my teammate, hit both the teammates if they're big AoE damage, good. If they want to go for Wide Guards, I can taunt things. If they want to go into anything else, I can Encore it. We have Icy Wind for more speed control. Gengar is just a good utility mon there. And so by picking what restrictors I want, Shadow Rider would be a mon that would be able to greatly benefit from like a taunt, Encore teammate, while also getting a little bit of speed control. Like if I'm afraid of, our opponent going for something like an opposing Shadow Rider, I can just flip on Normal Terra my Gengar. We do have Normal Terra. You can't see it. I'm blocking it. But we can do stuff like that. And then the last one here with the Scarf Kyogre, this is going to be a Steel Terra Scarf Kyogre. So I can pair that with the Gengar and go for like Spout and Sludge Bomb and Sludge Wave. Sorry. And that's still really good. Like if our opponent's using like a Grassmon, we're going to be able to like if they have like a Serena, like they're going to take like 40% from Spout and then be finished off by the stab Sludge Wave, right? So that's the idea behind the team. And then we have things like Electivire here, being able to like fill that little small gap that's being filled by the fact that like we have a big weakness to Electric here. It technically has synergy with a lot of the other mons on the team. And that's how the team kind of came together. We wanted to feature Gengar, but we added the right restricteds that benefited from the support that Gengar brought to the table, and then benefited greatly from the other anti-meta mons that we added to the table. Miraidon Zenta. You guys think that's Scarf Miraidon? What do we think? Do we think that's Scarf Miraidon? It definitely could be. Scarf Miraidon, Sash, Pow. It could be Sash Pow. It could also be Sash Wims. It could be Cloak Wims. I like Kyogre in the back. I like Kyogre in the front too, though. I'm a vibe with that. Let's try those. You don't think Scarf with Whims, but like it lets you guarantee go fast. It lets you go super fast. So like if that's Miraidon Whims first slot Miraidon, like that's I'm saying it's Scarfed. Okay. This is a good lead for me. Does motorized redirect? No, it does not. You gotta manually do it. Can't believe the Evar got faked the one game you've left Cloak off. Yep. That's the game. You are allowed to click Tailwind here. We have a Tailwind user in the back to restagger it. The horse is supposed to have specs. Alright, don't kill me. Yeah, let's go. Orb! Whoa! So that thing's gone. Kyger's not that fast. So the good thing is we would redirect the Zama into this slot. Yeah, I vibe with this. Cool. You save the Evar in the back because it would still be super. This basically just makes it so Miraidon doesn't get to play the game. Miraidon, like, well, it can, but it has to pick what they want to walk into. No, they did. I think they did. They Icicle crashed that slot, you know. I'm expecting Body Press Ogre, but like we'll see how this one goes down. Light Guard. Ooh. So I got that. I saved my fate. Are you Moonblasting the Evar? Could I have just won the game? Widescreen. Good play. All right, so we're playing a slightly longer game here. I'll still get the KO there. Like, Heavy Slam's a thing, but they're running out of turns on their Tailwind here. Are they going Dark Terra Whims? Are they absolutely gamers? Alright, Terra Zenta. Dark Zenta. Are you crunching me, bro? Dude, that's not a thing. That's just not a thing. Apparently it is a thing, but like... What? What? I'll get the kill on this Whims. I'm still like flabbergasted. Okay. Don't you dare crunch me, bro. I'll be so mad. Behemoth Bash. Okay, we're good. We're gaming. He doesn't have it. It's just there to stop other weird tech. Miraidon's going to come out here. Alright, so we actually don't need Electivire for like anything here, I don't think. Turns on Tailwind are 1. Is there ever a world where like I want my Kali? Like I'm thinking the right play here is honestly just Bleakwind, lose this Mon, and pivot in the Evar, let them both go down, and then have a board that's like Zenta and Kyogre and just shove them in. But also like having access to like Feint could be really good. I know there's a light screen up. This is fine. That's good. That's a good amount of damage. Oh, I thought about pivoting in the Evar. Thought about it. It's all right. Take a Rocky Helmet tick. You're within range for Shadow Rider, you know. And then you don't do that much damage. I can redirect. It's just to stop Psychic. Yeah, Behemoth Bash does a lot, but not a ton. Yeah, it's a good amount, but nothing spectacular. All right. I don't think that Miraidon has Protect. Feint could guarantee it, but I don't think we need to do that. I don't want to lose my Yeah. Get him, Evire. Mess him up, bro. Not scarfed. Well, even if it is, actually, we don't know. We actually don't know. I have Tailwind up. And then we're going to lose the Evire, but then we come in with the Ogre Pin on the last turn of rain, reset it. BP, baby. We didn't even use our Terra yet, did we? Rain stopped just in time. I think we get this. I know they have a light screen, but like I think that like Spout Shadow Ball gets it. And we have to use Shadow Ball. Even though I have Fighting Terra Blast, we have to. And you can Wide Guard. I'll just start punking you down with Shadow Ball. Like, we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah, he's waiting to see. You are allowed to click Wide Guard, good sir. I have 8 of these, and I'm not afraid to use it. He just waits now, turns on his light screen. He knows that we're scarfed. Light screen was off. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you, bro. Alright. This is going to do a lot. Big spout. Woo! Oh my gosh. Wait. Big damage. Don't have big damage, though. Don't have big damage, though. We take those wins. Evire. Evire busted, right? Anti-meta Evire. Coming in hot. That's what we like to see. Gengar Scizor. That looks like a good lead. These two in the back. Cool. That works. I think we got shots here. I really like the Scizor in this matchup. But yeah, we're talking about how, like, Ladder has, like, if you look at the active amount of players on, like, Pokemon Home, this is, like, the least amount of players we've had ever play a ranked season, and the whole history of Scarlet and Violet is this season for Reg I. And I wonder if it's going to change, you know? This is, like, our second run around of, like, this is, like, our third or fourth feels like restricted format. We're doing double restricted. This is, like, the last month of it. People are just so done. They're playing other games for the summer. And that's fine. That's how games work. Yeah, most people just get to Master Ball and quit, right? So Glim Entity. So I really thought that's what they were going to lead. I think that's a very good lead. I'm going to delete this. I bet Champs is released after Presents or on 8-1. I don't think it's going to be released any of those times. They would have had to give us more prep. They honestly like can't not give us more prep. They're not going to release it before Legends comes out. They're not going to make their games compete with each other. They want you to play both. They want you to spend all your money on both, and no way it can come out the other way around. Alright, we're gonna U-turn this Entity. Fake out. Bro, you set that terrain. Oh, he faked out himself. That's sick. You know we had a Gengar though, right? You know we have a Gengar. We can just pivot back out and come back in. That's actually super sick though. I vibe with you, buddy. Very cool. So I'm going to get this Entity off the board. Ooh, he livened. Which one of these do I care about getting poisoned more? Let's see what they do with the Shadow, with the Glim. Sorry, sucks we got poison, but it's okay. And you did get taunted. There's no way they're gonna, like, I could do so many things with this Gengar, but I'm trying to reset my poison hazards. So, like, I could have just Sludge Waved. I could have just done something to kill the Entity. Helping Hand. Awesome, I like this play for us. Unless they're Scarfed. I hate that if they're Scarfed. He is Scarfed! Dude, this guy's nuts, man! This guy's crazy! Should I have been able to see that coming? Was I an idiot? I don't think so. No, I got the flinch. I guess, like, the Glimora must have flinched. Yeah, before the Gengar. I could have seen that one coming. It's completely my fault. I'll take a +1 there, though. And then what? You know? Like, who's the play here? Is it Giratina? Giratina and Ho are both really good, and I'm locked into Psychic. That Entity should go down to anything Scizor wants to throw at it. Giratina can be knockoff, too. I'm gonna pop that. If you would like to Tailwind, I cannot stop you, my good sir. I cannot stop you. Follow Me Tailwind is a great looking play for you here. Gotta just deal with it. But I think you're gonna go into my Scizor with like a... I think you're gonna do something. Really wish I could waste their Terras, but I can't yet. Follow Me, great play. See, I'm glad I didn't click that feint. Or not feint, like an attack into the hole, like a knockoff or something. Like, I like this. Ooh, I didn't want to be faster. I did not want to be faster there. I did not want to be faster there. That is very bad. Very, very bad. Why am I faster than your Ho with my Scizor? I have to come with Kyogre and I don't want to. Gengar Scizor, I know, right? Busted. Ah, it sucks beat a Brave Bird. Light screen Ho-Oh. Whoa. Whoa. I don't know about that one, Chief. That's weird. Light screen Ho-Oh, bro. He cooking. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He cooking. All right. Yep. Light screen. Dual screen Ho-Oh? I don't think we're getting anything after the direct, guys. But that's just me. Feel free to roast me if you guys watch this at a later date, right? Yeah, he's playing stall. But Kyogre's still good. We still have Shadow Rider. I bet they have Shadow Sneak, which is going to make it like really important for us to win with Scizor. Which is why I went through all those hoops about taking away the toxic terrains and stuff like that, the toxic spikes, so I can correctly tear it when I click U-turn away. We're going to stop this Ho-Oh from doing anything. I want to see if they have Shadow Sneak. I think it's really important to see if they even have it. Nice, good spout. Oh, is that a crit? Nice light screen, bro. Bro, that just does that much? Is that not a crit? That's not a crit. That's just how much that does. That's nutty. Light screen. TY. Alright, what's Giratina doing? Bro, what you doing? Thunderbolt! Okay. Yeah, okay. Sure, okay. I don't like that. Freaking stupid little Giratina thing. That's weird. I think if he still has Shadow Sneak, I can lose. Because I have Shadow Rider. T-Boltina? I know, right? Do not pass go. Do not collect $200, right? So it feels like. Just Thunderbolt me harder. Just throw this on there. I don't want to get calm-minded. Earthquake. Cool. Alright, so I actually have tech for this. Curse Body? Curse Body. I wanna encore it. This actually lets this guarantee you gets the win. We encore them into EQ, you KO the Gengar and Curse Body, and send out Shadow Rider and just go. Oh, that's so sick. That's so sick. Show me that EQ, baby. Even if you had Shadow Sneak, you do not use it. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Curse Body. Curse Body. Do it. Crit my Scizor, never lucky, right? Curse Body, though. I wanted it. Don't even act like I didn't want it. That would have been so GG. The struggle would have been quite real, as they say. So I have to KO them, like, this turn. I probably get the KO here, but, like, let's see. They still have a light screen up. Ooh, you can have a different Terra here, too. I could actually super lose this. It's fine. If I had the Curse Body, though, I would have won. Curse Body would have won me the game. Yeah, they still have Terra. Don't they? I don't remember if they do. Either way, I win. Yeah. Wins up. I'll take a crit, too. One for the road, you know. Gengar Scizor kind of busted. Wins up. That's right. That's right. Gengar Scizor Gaming. Yeah. Let's try that. I think this guy's a better matchup than us. I really think this is just a race to the finish, and this person has more resources that are finally attuned for aggression with, like, Indity Mail, you know, potential Scarf Ursh. My restricteds are better than one of their restricteds, but they have the other tools that just let them have value in the matchup. Like, Surging Strikes kind of just says GG to my Shadow Rider if they get a hold of it. So we will lose if I don't play this correctly. We gotta play weird. You're either A, wide guarding, B, body pressing. Might as well just go to the Shadow Rider. My Tailwind goes. Are you weak winding? Don't be bad. Okay, that's correct. Nice. Good so far. Humid Bash, that's fine. Yep. Yeah, try this. I don't know how I feel about this play, guys. Got like two decent looking lines here. Tailwinds have been staggered. If they double into my Shadow Rider with Behemoth Bastion and like Weak One and live this, or like our Sash Move lose, but I don't think it's Sash Torn. Like this for me. Rip it. No Sash, no Bolt. Let's go. No! That sucks. That sucks. I can E-Web. It's fine. Good pivot from them. They knew I had faint. They knew it. They knew what I was about. This is going to break Pow Sash, though, so it's fine. And we're going to stick damage into their Zenta. I think that we lose our Shadow Rider here, though, to the... Ooh, are you Dark Terra? Dude, that's crazy if you are. I'm starting to see a lot more Dark Terra Zenta. Dragon. Awesome. It's fine. Why would you Dragon there? Okay. You can take out my Shadow Rider with a Humid Bash, good sir. It's all you. Ooh, wrong target. Works. I get to keep Shadow Rider. That's cracked. I want to see if they've ever been paying attention. Are you paying attention, good sir? I could have Hydro Pumped your POW. Let's see it. They are not paying attention. I will see. Are they Sucker Punch my Ogre? Sucker Punch the Shadow Rider. Yeah, they could have been paying more attention because I think that my Kyogre Drizzle activated before their Zenta's shield, so they should have been able to know that we were scarfed. And now I just get their POW for free. And now they can wide guard, which is like, honestly, like, go nuts. Wide guard's a good move. You should click it. But like, we get to restagger all these tailwinds, then bring out all the right mons, and then like Torn should be able to check the Zenta from here in a 1v1. So we're gonna lose our Ogre. And see what they have. I think they have one more mon left, right? They have Solgaleo somewhere, right? Yep. If you're tricking me, I'm big lose, but like, we'll see. You didn't wide guard. Okay. Okay. I mean, you don't have to. No one said you had to, bro. Bro, no one said you had to. But you should have. Definitely should have. He's like, I would attack. I don't know what that one, Chief. Gotta be this tall to ride. Psychic Fangs. Go nuts, Chuck. That's all you. The rain has stopped. Okay. Last little bit of health on this guy. Bro, if you got wide guard, you could just click it. Tailwind? Yeah. Stagger it, but we're scarfed. You could also be scarfed, I guess. No. We take those wins. All the way to the bank. Wins up. Solgaleo says, I say you gotta be this taller ride. Using Solgaleo. Solgaleo. Oh no, not today, buddy. We take those wins all the way to the bank. We will be live tomorrow doing the next episode in the Masterclass where we go over Team Fixing Tuesday. Right, so we're gonna be fixing some teams tomorrow. Be fixing a bunch of teams on this post right here. If you guys want me to submit your or fix your teams and do stuff like that the rest of this month, think about checking out the Patreon. We're working hard making different articles every day. Today's article, remember we reviewed how to pick the right anti-meta Pokemon and how to identify roles and then select the anti-meta pick that is like the B or C version variant of those roles. So that's what we worked on today. We went through all this at the very start of the stream. If you guys want to see all of our different articles, you can again check out Patreon and check out all the different episodes of the Pokemon VGC Masterclass, or you can just watch it on YouTube. We're uploading these live on YouTube as well. If you want to see last week's Anti-Meta Monday, that is up right here with this Dragapult Beartick thumbnail. We go over a really cool article. We play a bunch of games on the ranked ladder. And yeah, we're doing this Masterclass for every day for the rest of this month. At least on the weekdays. So if you guys like this sort of stuff, show some support. And if not, you know, it's fun for me to do it. So that's why I do it.